Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us for the regular tribal council meeting. Starting off a new month. Hope everybody had a good start. Ask Councilman LaRose to say a morning prayer for us. Oh, excuse me. Call us to order at 9:11 a.m.
What was your last sentence?
Call us to order at 9:11 a.m.
She asks you to give the invocation.
That wasn't the last sentence. The next to the last.
I said, call us. I said, oh, excuse me. Call us to order at 9:11 a.m. That's what I said. After I said, can you pray? Then I said, oh, wait, call us to order.
She didn't get one.
Goofy over here. Sorry.
Okay.
Joker, give thanks for this morning. We ask that you remember the
What about this one?
relatives of
That one?
Yeah.
that
Oh, you
grieving,
got it, don't you?
This is Esther.
the Omaha tribe.
Okay.
We ask that
Esther gave her hers because there wasn't one for her. And Teresa's making copies. Esther, did you see my frustrated email about
Come
that
on.
damn copy machine?
can I finish praying?
Louis is praying.
Oh, sorry.
I'll start over.
Sorry.
Joker, we give thanks for this day. Give thanks for the people here. We ask that you take care of their family, their loved ones. Help us as we decide decisions for the tribe. Maybe make them with care and thought and depth. Bless the children. Bless the elders. Bless the general population of our tribe. In Jesus' name I pray, amen.
Thank you, Louis. The agenda has been prepared and we have one addition under old business, the land for EMS, new EMS building. Are there any further additions? Do we have a motion to approve the agenda?
I move it, Madam Chair.
We have a motion by Kenny. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Louis. Discussion. Objection. Motion carried 6-0-0. The first order of business are the minutes, and we have the May 15th, 2023 mid-monthly TC minutes. Do we have a motion to approve those minutes?
I move it, Madam Chair.
We have a motion by Kenny. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Coley. Discussion. Objection. Motion carried 6-0-0. May 17th General Council minutes. Do we have a motion?
I read them, ma'am, and I approve it.
We have
I
a
move it.
we have a motion by Kenny. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Louis. Discussion. Objection. Motion carried 6-0-0. May 23rd, 2023, Special Tribal Council meeting, land purchase. Do we have a motion to approve?
I read them, Madam Chair, and I make the motion to approve.
Thank you. Do we have a second? Second by Isaac. Discussion. Objection. Motion carried 6-0-0. May 26, 2023, Treasurer's Report meeting. Do we have a motion to approve?
I read them, Madam Chair, and I make the motion to approve.
Thank you. Do we have a second? Second by Isaac. Discussion. Objection. Motion carried 6-0-0. Number 5, May 25th, 2023, HHS Region 7 meeting with Tribal Council. Do we have a motion to
So moved.
approve? Motion by Louis. Do we have a second? Second by Isaac. Discussion. Objection. Motion carried 6-0-0. That moves us on to the 5 signature ratifications. The first one is payment for a room, payment of rooms for family members of a deceased tribal member, and for the membership's information, they were coming from great distance and they needed some accommodations. Do we have a motion to ratify? We have a motion by Isaac. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Louis. Discussion? Objection? Motion carried 600. Number 2, authorized interested tribal council members to attend NCAI mid-year convention and marketplace on June 4th to 8th at Mystic Lake Casino. Do we have a motion to ratify?
I moved.
Motion by Louis, second by Isaac. Discussion? Want to thank Rona for representing the tribe at NCAI. Objection to the motion. Motion carried 600. Moving on to tribal council items, I'd like to invite Ramona up for the tribal.
I just want to make
okay.
a comment, please.
Yep.
I don't know who gets the notices of these meetings, but the first I knew of this was Friday when a tribal member sent it. I don't know who gets these. I didn't know there was an NCI mid-month. And if I did, I would have forwarded it to the council. So we need to find out from NCI who that was sent to in Winnebago tribe, so these things get forwarded to the council. Because I didn't even know about it. So anyway, that's just what I wanted to bring up. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a question.
Yeah.
The special tribal council land purchase, is that in everybody's packet? Was I in attendance? I don't have it.
That was the meeting where we agreed on a per acre price, and then they were going to go back with Leo
So
Anderson Daly, or what am I mixing up my Leos?
must have Bryce Anderson.
Okay, Bryce Anderson.
Probably here then if we all agreed on it to do it then.
Yeah, because I
okay.
think everybody was here and we didn't take no action other than move forward with this price. And I think it was it 9,500 an acre? Was it?
Yeah. Okay. Yep. Thanks.
You ready to move on to tribal council?
Okay.
Ramona.
Okay, good morning, everybody. I just have a resolution I wanted to get approved today with 19 applicants from our last meeting we had in May 23rd. I just, I would usually wait until the CEO report, but a lady is really needing this today. She's going to court for guardianship of one of her kids, and the state was trying to step in, so we got them enrolled in time for that. So
Appreciate that. With that, is there a motion? Which was it?
What number was that resolution?
128.
23-128. Do we have a motion?
Make a motion to resolution number 23-128.
We have a motion. We have a motion by Isaac to adopt resolution 23-128. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Coley. Discussion. Objection. Motion carried 600. Well, thank you, Ramona. I
Yep.
hope everything goes well with that family.
thank you.
You get this one?
Yep, it was just
Yeah.
one, but there's about 19 on there. Okay, so that moves us on to the resolution for Ho Chunk Capital Homesite Lease Lot 11. Joy who's going to talk about this one? Was that Joy?
No, Joyce for the site
Okay.
for the.
Should be Fanny.
Must be Fanny. I don't know if she's on. No, I don't see her. But we could call up what's her Irita. She was the one that kind of had some questions.
Oh,
or
just a whole
something about
bunch of them.
Yeah, that's all of these.
it.
Do you want a motion to table until we can get Irita or Fanny in here?
Both of them.
Just later in the meeting? Or Ron's here. Okay, is there a motion to table the home
table.
okay.
That, how
motion by
later on in-
Isaac
yep.
to table that later in the meeting? Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Eric. Discussion. Objection. Motion carried 700. We will table items 1 through 17 until our physical resource team is here. So we'll move on to item number 18, and that's resolution. Did I get the count on? I said 7.
It's 6.
6, 2, 3, 4, 5,
He was
6. Oh,
on.
6. Oh, yeah. Okay.
Oh, virtual.
My bad.
Okay, 6.
Okay, 600 is last vote. Sorry. Okay, so item number 18 on the agenda is the fiscal year 23 American Rescue Plan Act funding for potable water. Portable water. Is that supposed to be potable water? Potable. Okay, they're good. Get that R out of there. So let's see. Anything in particular about that, or is that straightforward? Right here, it's in the packet. And that would be resolution 129. Do we have a motion to adopt resolution 22 dash, oh, it'll be 23 actually, 23-129, and it's for the FY23 potable water proposals eligible to apply for federal funding for Region 7 from the BIA. Okay. And Joy, is this one of those ones where the money is just kind of appearing for certain things?
Yes, exactly. And it had some very strict things that we could use it for.
Oh, wait, excuse me,
And
nobody
so we pulled a group together and they made a decision to kind of share it between with Human Services to oversee, to address people with delinquent bills. And it's pretty strict even in how they can use that for delinquent water bills in there. So they have the guidelines for that. And then also we're looking at using it for the bottled water at events like the powwow.
Do we have a motion to adopt
Esther
resolution?
has a,
Oh, Esther,
did you
have
want a
something?
comment or?
What?
Oh, okay, okay. No, I thought maybe,
So we're gonna drink some potable water at Paula?
yes, it'll be bottled water
Oh.
that we can make available so that people don't become dehydrated, so they
So
can
what's
stay
the
healthy.
difference between potable and portable?
Good question. I think you can get potable out of the faucet sometimes.
We have a motion by Eric to adopt resolution 23-129, and we have a second by Isaac. Discussion.
Where is 22-29?
Gotta get past all those home site leases and then I think,
You want this one, Greg?
It's number 18, Louis,
oh yeah.
on the back page of the front page.
And the resolution says 22 on it, but it's 23.
Thank you.
They all say 22.
Yeah, there should be 23.
I can correct those before I do them.
Do you want to check it out before we move on, Louis? Or are you good?
Let's call it checked out.
Okay.
Needs to be picky, but is it possible to get those numbers ahead of time?
The resolution numbers? Or...
Yeah,
Yes, actually,
'cause when you got 20 or 30 of them,
that's one thing we could ask for, because usually they just put them in draft form and sometimes the wrong years on them, but we could ask that they come fully with the number on them, and we can work with Teresa to just have that way, because yeah, we do kind of fumble every time trying to ask Lorelai, what's the number? But we'll do better on that. So it'll be just the number, what is on there is what we're passing. Because sometimes when they just rechange the words and stuff, the numbers don't get changed. So it could be confusing.
Who's getting it?
So the motion on the table is 23-129. We have a second. Is there further
Okay,
discussion?
so you didn't get one.
Objection.
I didn't even catch that. What is it? Where's it?
Resolution 23-129,
Oh, okay,
the potable water.
okay, 600, okay.
Objection 600. Well, now that we have physical resources here, we can jump right back to the home site lease. So there was discussion on the home site lease and why they had to be the way they are, or why they don't go in the homeowner's name or something like that. And
Well, usually, because apparently, I don't know. From the background that me and Fanny received was that Ho Chunk Inc. or Ho Chunk Capital is going to be building houses out there. But Fanny was asking for actual names, so they're not having a name go to it because they're going to sell it up front. So it's not going to be in homeowner's name. So we requested to put in Ho Chunk Capital's name. And that was a discussion that came up last week whenever they had a informal meeting, I'm guessing is what it was. So, and the question we had, because in order to submit an IHS app, you need to have a name on there. So, IHS did say that they'll accept it in Ho Chunk Capital's name, just so then we know that those individuals are getting IHS funding.
So are these spec houses?
Yes.
Okay.
They said 4 spec houses, but these are all of the lots that they did reserve through Winnebago Housing Development Commission. So then they just said, well, let's just put all of them in our name, and then we'll slowly start getting houses built on those lots.
But they're all spec houses, or you just don't know? Yet?
No, there's 4 of them to my knowledge. I don't know about the rest of them.
That's those, and I just kind of learning as we went along, but so that's everything in the pink.
Okay.
So
used to
they
check
already
that out.
got those built, some of those built and sold already.
And those ones would be, those people would have leases, right?
Yeah.
So all of everybody out here is gonna have a lease because it's tribal land.
So my question is, of the ones who already, I guess, know that that's their lot and they've got their financing, can those be in those people's name, or only the unknowns?
They're it's only the unknown. So right now these are the ones that are all vacant that Ho Chunk Capital is going to build on.
Okay, I see.
Yeah.
I learned what a spec house is. A spec house is when they just build and then they try to sell it. It's not somebody that went
Customized
through, yeah. And so some of the ones, it's just quicker to get into people that can just buy one that's all ready for them.
I just don't want us to be so busy that we're just doing busy stuff to be busy. So, for reals,
Do it all the
why?
time.
Why does it have? Why can't we bring them as each homeowner gets it approved? Why can't we just do a lease to the buyer that just got approved, and that way the IHS is the water hookup, right? So that way we don't have this busy work with all of this. Why are we doing this? Why can't we just do it as each of the potential home buyer gets their lease or their mortgage approved? Then we do the land.
That's what the land management's been doing, but there was Fannie and their lease compliance noticed that they were building out there on a lot that didn't have a lease on it, so they told them to pause and they needed more clarification as to what they were doing on that lot because they didn't have an active lease. So that's where the confusion was, and then that's when they said, well, council said that we had to build these spec houses. So then she was like, okay, well, you guys need to pause until you guys get an active lease, and we need to figure out whose name it's going to go in, and so on and so forth. And then they didn't want to wait until the land or physical resource meeting. They wanted to get it done right away. So this is where we're sitting with it now.
I'm confused where you said council said to build these spec houses. Like,
That's just what was said from Lance in that email. I could forward it to you guys, but yeah, that's just what he
I
said.
don't think we said that, but
What I'd like to see is the HCI gonna take any responsibility on that? By putting it under their name, water, utilities, anything like that.
Because then won't it have to be redone again when the home buyer gets the mortgage? Then we're gonna do another one to the home buyer, and then we're gonna do another thing to the IHS, right? That's why I don't get this.
so then my other question is IHS just being cool about it and putting the sanitation application in their name, or is it really in the tribe's name?
So see how they do. Okay, they're trying to operate. I'm not trying to say they, but Ho Chunk Capital is trying to operate how they do it out to Ho Chunk Village. That's how Ho Chunk Village
It's
does
two
it.
different kinds of
Yeah.
land.
So that's why we're like, okay, you guys need to stop here. You guys need to get a lease. But see,
Okay.
here
So
we're sitting.
I think this does need a little bit more massaging because over there is fee land and that's trust land, and they are completely different. The way that you have to interact with that land,
Yep.
and so we got to figure that out. Because this does sound kind of goofy, like going
It
back and
does.
forth. And I would be wondering at one point, IHS is going to say, it's whose name is it in? Because then is it really the tribe's name? Because Ho Chunk Capital isn't a
Yeah.
federally recognized.
Seems like it would just be the tribe. And the tribe. HCI is just time bars. Tribe. Yeah, you're right. It just doesn't make sense.
So I might be muddying the waters and choosing the wrong words to say, but I guess, are we holding anything up if we don't approve these today?
Apparently, these houses are already built from what Kiki was saying at the meeting or something last week. She said they're already
It sounded
built.
like one
So
was
one
built,
is built
yeah,
and
and
it's going to
it's
be delivered
semi.
down. So that's the issue.
The
And
motion
what our
was to
email, what
approve
Fanny
this
kept saying is, okay, whose
$500
name is
for
it
the
going to go in?
roundabouts.
And they said, well, we don't
So
have
the check
anybody's
got
name. You know, we
returned,
just
but she's
started
still
building
gonna
it.
have the roundabouts.
So
Well, why
that
would
was
they
the
be building
thing.
houses on a land that
Why
there was
can't
no
we just
lease?
reissue the check?
That's the one.
No,
house
it's on
they
that,
built, they're gonna put on
that one
Yeah, I
house.
told her that.
The foundation is poured out there.
So,
And
and
the
Nora
house
said,
is
yeah,
built
we
and
can just
sitting at
reissue the
dynamic
check
homes
because
up
we got
there.
it returned.
It's
And
been
she's
sitting up there for
having the
2 weeks.
roundabouts.
They were trying to just hurry up and bring it down there and set it on there since it's a spec home.
On the motion.
But then they ran into this lease stuff.
Well,
Whose number it's gonna go into or whose name.
well, if IHS is acceptable to this, let's just move forward. But we should solidify how it is for each track or something.
Yeah,
we
well,
could-
see, they know the process, and Kiki even admitted, she's like, I know the process, but this was a spec one, and she said, Lana told me to come down here and try to get this situated, and that's all that was said in that meeting.
Well, hopefully a
But-
family can get in there right away. So
There's 3 families looking at that spec.
does the council comfortable with moving forward with what has been presented? And then I guess if we dive deeper in how we proceed.
Well, to me, the potential home buyer that gets approved, their mortgage, that's when land management does the resolution. So they get the land lease. And that's when whatever paperwork goes to the IHS in that tribal member's name. Not this whole bunch of resolutions here, and then we got to do another one to reassign to the. And if the IHS is cool with waiting until the lease gets in the tribal member homeowner's name and then they get the application, then let's not add to our confusion here with this. With all of this.
If there's anything that I'd say is that we just need to move forward and get that house down here. While they're taking care of that. I'm trying to before saying. You can just get that down here and get that get it set on that foundation. I think that'd be good.
Is this the first spec house out to?
Yep.
Okay, so I was just gonna say.
Apparently,
surely
there's going to be
we've-
3 more,
Okay.
but she didn't know which lots they were going to go on, so that's why she gave us this bulk of lot numbers, and she said just do them all.
Okay, we're not gonna just do them all. Let's do the one that there's a spec house, and then we can figure out, or your office can decide how it
Yeah.
needs to flow for fee versus trust.
Okay. It's on lot 12 right now.
Okay. So that is
Approve what?
for this one spec house. So lot 12 would be the first one. Number 2 under tribal council items is lot 12. And so this is the one where there's a spec house ready to be set. And so we're going to move forward with this one, and then physical resources will figure out how they want to distinguish trust versus fee leases. Sound good?
This would be resolution 23-130.
Yes. So with that, do we have a?
What are we approving here?
We're approving one home site lease in Ho Chunk Capital's name because there's a house ready to be set.
That's
And then
lot 12.
Lot 12. And then after this, they're going to circle back with if they need to have it different and figure out how I just want to deal with those 2.
Okay. So just one.
Yep, just number 2, and then we'll table the rest until right. Okay. So motion we had Isaac. We had a motion by Isaac to adopt resolution 23-30. Do we have a second?
Second.
130. Second by Eric. Discussion.
Wait, who moved it?
Did Eric move it or Isaac move it?
He moved it in second?
Isaac moved it and Eric second.
Either way,
Is that right? Did I get that wrong?
it don't matter.
Okay, sorry about
I'm
that.
still gonna move it.
Any further discussion?
Okay, so added to this resolution is to table the rest until land management comes back with the process.
Let's just adopt this one and then table
Okay,
in the next one.
okay.
So this motion is to adopt 23-130. We got a motion in a second. Any further discussion?
Yeah, I can't find 130.
Oh shoot. Okay.
So right now, they're just doing one of these resolutions.
We would be better about putting these numbers on there because I could see it.
They're bringing in scope.
We'll do that.
So they're just gonna approve this
But that means
resolution.
people have to have their
but they're
resolution here.
taking out all that.
Even when we make deadlines.
Table.
Yeah, good old cluster.
Okay.
Thank you, Arita. Thank you, Louis, for wanting to look at this before we pass it. Any further discussion? Objection? Motion carried 600. Okay, next action would be, is there a motion to table
Any.
the remaining
Pencil?
Ho Chunk Capital home site leases until further discussion?
Make a motion to table.
We have a motion by Isaac, we have a second by Eric. Discussion. Objection. Motion carried 600. Okay,
Until land management comes back? with
yeah,
them?
I was gonna ask
Okay.
her a timeline. Irita, what kind of timeline do you wanna circle back on the remaining leases?
Tomorrow by noon?
Okay, a couple more, okay, sounds
Okay.
good.
Motion to
Table
have
those.
HCI build 250 more houses just like this and
Let go.
without us knowing. So we can knock out some of our
So this,
housing problems.
those set
Not
up.
allowed.
Yep. Okay, cool. So that brings us on to number 19.
Wait, I just have a question. My mind always, I try to figure the process so then I'm clear. So Ho Chunk Capital, they got the land, they're gonna put the house down. Then how are they selecting who gets the mortgage or who gets to buy?
They just put it up for sale. And then sometimes people that are in the track to buy, they're just like, oh, I'll just buy that one.
Well,
Because
if there's three of them, how are they being fair?
whoever gets their money first.
Okay, so then land management's gonna reassign the lease to the individual and then the application will go to IHS for the water.
No. So that's the whole issue right now is usually that's exactly how it works. But because these are spec houses and they're just like putting down a cookie cutter house and said, hey, look at this wonderful house. Anybody want to buy it? The IHS, they want to put the IHS sanitation application in Ho Chunk Capital's name because there's no individual that has come forward to say, I want to buy this yet. But really there's 3 individuals that are trying to buy it, but you know what I mean?
I know, but why can't they just wait until the individual gets the house and then they put the application into the IHS?
Because they got to have the water when they build the house.
Oh, okay. Oh
So
my
they like do
God,
the digging
everything's
and the
always so
sanitation.
complicated.
Yeah.
I have a question, what's the price of one of these?
Ron, you want to come up? You got something to say? It just depends. Sometimes they're like about $200,000 plus, I would say.
There's a spot here, Ron.
It's a good thing. It's a good thing that they're whipping them out, but it's just a little weird with what goes before. What you got?
I think
Yeah, use your mic.
can help answer that.
You wanna use your mic?
Indian Health Service provides service up to the house, and the plumber for the house, typically who's not IHS related contractor, stubs the water and sewer service just out a couple inches outside the foundation, and then IHS takes it for that. But the issue usually is getting the thing backfilled and getting sidewalks and driveways and everything else put in to finish the project, so they don't, if they have the service in fairly early in the project, it makes it a much more cleaner to be able to put the sidewalks and the driveways and everything in. So it's better to have it up sooner the better.
Okay, and then how long does it take to put the service back in the home buyer's name from Ho Chunk Capital?
The services with whether it's the tribe or the village, would be, whose ever name, registers, for that water service. Like if it's out in Village 2.0, where it's a village water and sewer, they have to pay, I think, a deposit and a service fee to get registered with that. So
Well, my question, I'm coming back because this is trust land and it's different than 2.0, is Ho Chunk Capital is going to do the application to the IHS, right? To do the water. But then they're going to turn around after everything's done and reassign or come back here with a resolution for the lease to now go to the home buyer. So at what point does what the IHS does go to the name of the home buyer?
Is it of no concern to IHS whose name was on the initial?
normally it is.
Okay, that's what I said. Are they just being cool about it?
Normally it is. And in the past, Indian Health Service has been real apprehensive to install services to speculation houses. But over the last couple of years, last 2 years probably, they have stepped up and they said, either get us some names, or I don't know if they'll put a name on it because
they won't put a name on the application. On their Danae showed me an app that they just recently submitted, and it says pending tribal member. And then after that house and everything is completed on closing, then they provide Danae a name. And then Danae will usually reach out to Ruth or somebody and say, okay, this lot number, parcel ID, blah, 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 goes into this individual's name. And then Danae would give it to them.
The reason that's critical, what she just described, is that tribal members are supposed to only be able to be served one time.
That was my next question.
Some of these with wells and stuff are $40,000-$50,000. So that's the reason. Like if you and maybe I could explain a little bit. Like if you were on fee property and you got Indian Health Service to put a new well in and a new sewer in, it could be $50,000. That's $50,000 that you can put your house up for sale a year from now, and you've got $50,000 worth of equity through the tribal program. When it's trust property, that's a little bit different.
Okay, we need to formalize this in some way, because whoever's in the office right now that it's kind of okay with this agreement, I think we need to figure out if we can somehow get this, with our economic development or whatever we say is the reason why we need some type of carve out, because I think at some point someone's going to say that's not how it works.
IHS has been more flexible in the last year and a half or 2 years. In the past, they've never done this before. So they have, IHS is so flush right now.
Maybe we just fly below the radar as many as we can get billed before somebody says no.
So prior to this, Ho Chunk Inc. went and built out there to Ho Chunk Village, and they never gave notice to the program or anything. And they ended up not even funding, I want to say 3 tribal members they didn't accept, just because they didn't submit an application in that tribal member's name. So then in the meantime, that's when I just kind of switched gears and said, okay, well, as long as we're given notice and this application is submitted, we'll accept it. But it needs to be in a tribal member's name when this is closing. So there was 3 tribal members who got affected by this.
Did that get tacked on to their principal?
I'm pretty sure it did.
Wow, that's horrible.
Yeah. And that's why
we gotta be real careful here.
Yeah, we had big old problems with Ho Chunk Inc. prior to this, because they kept just building and building, and then they expected I just to continue just help them out. But I just said, no, we need to formalize our procedures, and we need to figure out, how we're going to fund these, because right there, that was a great example. We had 3 tribal members miss out on that funding.
Oh dear.
So anyway, I won't say no. We need to figure out that, because we can't be getting nervy, and then it's on the tribe as the only person that can be able to push to say, Ho Chunk Capital's out of it, but they did it. So we need to. All right. Well, however we can help, Irita, we want to be helpful so that it's good for the tribal member.
HCI has been a lot better for the last 2 years about not just waving their arms and calling Morningside Plumbing or something and come down and do it, and then tacking $5,000 on to some young people's mortgage, and they've been a lot better about that. But going through the IHS process, it takes longer, where they can just get on the phone and say, come on down and do this, and in 3 days it's in with, you know, not going through the process. But
Well, thank you.
they've been doing a lot better.
I understand how that works. a little
So
more.
with that, once you figure that process out or set something kind of how we want to formalize that, then the other part is going to be the other new development, that little oxbow, remember you drew up? So that's going to have to follow that process, right?
We have that project listed on our SDS wish list, or our, you know, what we've submitted to them.
Yeah.
And I don't think we've got any notification on that yet back, but there's a expensive lift station that has to go in for any houses to go in there. And, you know, that's
So
what we're
would that
trying
be
to,
the first thing as far as the infrastructure?
they would be,
that in there?
yep. Yep, it would be
Then
one of the
from
very
there
first
we'd
things.
Go from there would go into developing the lots.
Well, the lots are already platted. I mean, we got
Oh,
licensed land surveyor has laid out the lots. We have to get the site graded before we can put utilities in.
So I guess what's the next step then, just to get it graded then?
Need to formalize a grading plan, get a grading plan completed, and get dirt contractor out there.
Is some roads?
Possible. It's a pretty big project.
Is it?
Yeah,
Keep them busy all summer on top of everything else they do probably.
that would be my concern, I guess, that, you know, if we had a bigger dirt contractor out there, maybe we could get it knocked out yet this fall.
Yes.
South of Big Winnebago Lane. Yep.
Got a question. Knowing that IHS has say the houses out there, would IHS be able to aid in helping getting water out there to those fire hydrants?
Where we're at.
It's underway.
There's 6 fire hydrants down that are in the Kelly
Well-
projects in Thunderway.
What,
This is doing 2 of them, right? So
well,
one's
they put, that was 3 of them. They put up $25,000 to try and get 3 of them done. We've got a price from Dave Nelson, and I talked to two other contractors this morning. One of them said he couldn't do it because he couldn't get help, and the other one said he's still waiting on a price. So we're moving forward with 3 of them, but I don't know if that's what your question is, Dusty.
Well, I mean, it's just that if IHS is having some say out there about the houses, they would be able to aid in us getting this water out there. We lost 2 houses out there already. It might be in their better interest to help with some water and getting that fixed.
They're stepping up and helping us with, you know, with these three right away, and which is kind of out of the ordinary again, because Indian Health Service responsibility is potable water and wastewater and wastewater treatment, and not fire protection. So that's why IHS, you know, normally doesn't like to participate in that kind of stuff, but they are in this though.
Hydrants, Ron.
Huh?
Did you hear that? They approved 12 hydrants according to facilities.
I just did.
Yeah.
That's on the bottom of that list.
Is it?
It's not, and then they have a different funding, emergent funding that's gonna fund them that are not.
That separate SDS
Yeah,
project
it's
that we had.
The 12 betas talking about it's on the SDS list, but it's not a priority, so that's why we went with the emergency funding, the 3 that Ron's talking about.
Okay.
They're gonna fund, which is up to 12,000.
Because we got another hydrant that's down behind the hospital too.
That's on Villages probably, isn't it?
Yeah. The hospital called me and told me, said, we got a hydrant down, but they're gonna try to see what they can do to get it back up and going. So.
Sounds good.
Hydrant built somewhere anymore?
It sounds like the contractors now, well, every place that has new construction in town that involves fire hydrants, they're already on site.
They're having a hard time getting hydrants.
Yeah, but I think there's a place recently, the closest here is Omaha. They're pulling them out of some yard down there that makes them so.
But they've gone up here. They used to be, $1,500 and $2,000, and now hydrants are close to $5,000. That's just for the hydrants,
Yeah.
not counting the valve. It's like $1,200. Prices have gone through the roof.
Well, thank you guys for kind of getting that in motion. I know Isaac and Ron were kind of on the phone with IHS immediately after that all took place, so glad there's some movement on that. Moving on to number 19, resolution Winnebago Tribe Senior Home Improvement Project FY24. So you want to, okay, so resolution 23-131. We got a motion by Eric. Do we have a second? Second by Isaac. Discussion?
Who did
Objection?
it?
They should be in sequential order. So let's see, after the potable water, it's right after the potable water one. And it says Winnebago Senior Home Improvement, award amount $78,050.
Oh, I really put a number when I ever would.
23, well, there's no number on it, but the
Chad, you get to them.
Yep, 23-131.
Okay.
But the title of it is Winnebago Tribe Senior Home Improvement Project. Council, I'll try to, maybe we could put some little tabs on our packets, and then it might be easier for you to flip between where resolution starts and where 5 signature starts, and that'll be helpful. We'll work on that. Okay. So we have a motion and a second. These guys are getting to that page. So the expected impact on community: senior citizen homeowners will have installation or repair of sanitary sewer and waste disposal systems, water softener or reverse osmosis, energy conservation such as insulation and torn screen doors, repairs and replacements on heating systems, repair on structural support and foundations, repair or replacement of roof and gutters, alterations for accessibility, necessary repairs to malfunctioned housing. So that's everything that this grant will do. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Objection. Motion carried 600.
Thank you, sir.
Moving on to number 20. That's another resolution, and it's for fiscal year 23, Winnebago Tribe of Nebraska, CERCLA Section 128, Tribal Response Program, Brownsfield. Is there anything to say about that, or are we just passing it?
This one is our standard brownfields grant. No real new things in there. Dollar amount. The dollar amount could potentially change. They wanted Joe, and the project person decided to go ahead and move it forward because the project person was going to be out of the country. But it is hanging out there with, they have carryover funds on this one that could affect the dollar amount and that type of thing. So you know that.
Well, that's good. Good
All right,
news.
I'll make a motion to adopt
Motion by,
resolution 23-132.
Second.
LD.
do we have a second?
Second.
Second by LL.
Man, you guys are raising too much dust. Slow down a little bit.
We got a
I'm
motion
trying
and
to
a
keep
second.
awake.
Discussion.
Pretty busy over there.
Objection, no objection. Motion carried 600. Number 20, resolution US Highway 77 Child Care Ho Chunk Village 2.0 intersection project.
This one is a resolution that you already passed, but I wanted to bring it to your attention and make certain whether or not you wanted to leave it as it stands or to do it as an amendment. Brenda Red Wing was down last week, and when we had submitted to have the engineering for the roundabout and that done last fall as a high priority project through the BIA. So the funding didn't go through, some weird reason. Ron may have more information, I don't know, but essentially we're putting it forward again and having the application go through Brenda. She actually does the submission. So as long as you're okay with using the same one, it's the same project essentially, so.
Okay, so we don't, is that just information or do we have?
More just
Okay.
essentially information unless you wanted to amend it.
Did we, consider it used already, or did we use it again after this, when this didn't go through?
We're kind of using it again, I guess was my concern.
We'll just readopt then with a new number
All
for
right.
this application.
Okay,
Okay, so with that, is there a motion to adopt resolution 23-133 for the resubmission of this application? We have a motion by Coley. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Louis. Discussion. Objection. Motion carried 600. That moves us on to number 22, or excuse me, 21 is highway intersection. In the packet and in the email, you guys might have saw that I said to add Chicky's item back on here. And then we had some email response that should we just be okay with. So Thelma had requested $500 for the round dance and it had continuously been postponed. And it's going to take place on Thursday of Powell, right? Thursday night, the round dances. And she would like to ask for the $500 donation that the council gave back, because after the round dance was canceled, she gave it back to finance.
I told
So
her that she doesn't need a motion because the motion was approving for the round dance. There was no date on it. So she said we could just reissue the check because she's gonna use it Thursday night when the powwow ends for a round dance. After the powwow ends. So she's using it for the round dance, in which we already do. So I didn't think we needed to redo it again. We just need to reissue the check.
everybody good with that?
When can she pick it up?
Well, as soon as finance cuts it back,
Cuts
she
it
can do
back.
it. Yeah.
Okay.
So, all right, we're good there then? Okay.
Yes.
All right. I'm moving on. That brings us to a
EMS.
new EMS.
okay, so, and here's Isaac. Oh, good, Cindy's here. So I shared with you earlier, there's a map kind of shows, and you'll see towards the top and to the left, there's a second white thing, and Ron's still here. Okay.
I think we got you figured out.
Oh, good, super. So
Oh, okay.
we've looked at, as all of you are aware, we looked at down across from the court. We've looked at just south of the fire department existing. And we've worked with the land management office in trying to get properties switched over. We met last week concerning this as the group that's been working on planning the emergency services building. And felt that we're at a point that time is of an essence. And it had been suggested as another alternative site is there in the buffalo pasture. And you'll see how it actually fits. There's actually a high spot there. One of the things that Ron had pulled up, and I don't know if Christina has that available or not, he was sharing where the floodplain comes into play along with this as well. And so we wanted to kind of assure you on where and how it would situate in there along with the floodplain map. I'll let Ron explain.
Okay.
This right here,
Ron, could you do it over here so we can see too? I think he'll have a harder time turning around.
we've looked at every possible site that we can look at. This site is one that, we did talk to that Kevin Damagala, this District 3 DOT engineer, and he did not object to this. He was concerned we were going to be, kind of close with the new roundabout, but he looked at it and thought that it would be fine out here. We've got, this, when this was brought up a month ago or several weeks ago at a council meeting, Louis LaRose mentioned the probable poor soil conditions. I think Louis used the term alluvial soils, and alluvial soils are like stream deposited soils or that, usually deposit like in the lower area, which is pretty much all the way, through this whole section along Omaha Creek. And he's right, these are not great soil conditions right here. But when we did the Dollar General building right here, when we did, the hospital, the building right over here, and when we did the Educare facility, those are projects that, we've done in the last, 10 years or so. Every one of those sites had similar type soil conditions, what Louis talking about. And what we did is we had a geotechnical company, it was certified testing, come out and did borings. They're soils engineers, and they do borings, write a recommendation, and every one of those sites has required a soil surcharge. And I think we put 8 foot of soil on every one of those from 90 to 120 days. There's a settlement plate that goes on. They do the borings. They confirm what type of soils we have down to either 25 or 40 foot. And then they write a recommendation for how much surcharge we have to put on top of it to try and squeeze the moisture out of it, basically what it is. And I think we put 8 foot of soils on almost all these sites for 3 to 4 months. And I think we've had some sidewalk issues out of Educare, but we haven't really had any foundation issues.
Sidewalks.
But what Louis is talking about, just with the costs associated with building there is going to be some more costs. But we're to the point now where I don't know where else we could go. If anybody else has any suggestion, this is right on the highway. It's probably pretty good access to for emergency vehicles. That's why this site was brought up. Can you pull up the wetlands inventory? This is the 100-year floodplain right here. So that site is out of the floodplain, and it's also out of the what U.S. Fish and Wildlife has for what they call their wetlands inventory. Neither one of those are a conflict. Probably the biggest issue is dealing with the surcharge on the soil and trying to get that moisture, basically squeezed out of it. There's going to be some additional costs associated with that. And we have a water main that goes under the buffalo pasture that goes over to, then we put in to create a loop to Ho-Chunk Village. So we do have a water main out there that's relatively close. Sewer may require a pump, just like the new daycare building, but that's usually not a problem. And until we can, we've got sewer like right over here, just over in here, and we're proposing this site right up here. And if we can gravity over here, these sewers are pretty deep, so we'll find out just as soon as we go out there and start taking some elevation. But worst case scenario, we would have to pump it over to here or over to here. This is going to be deeper sewer over here. So there are going to be, probably a couple $100,000 of additional costs associated with this site compared to the site down by the fire station right now. But this is probably a pretty good site. We approach on buffalo pasture, and this is the only high ground that's out there. This is right here.
What building is that?
The emergency services for the ambulance and fire.
And do we have a picture of that, what we're looking at yet? The design of the building?
Yes, in fact, I didn't include that, but we do have a design that has been worked up almost a year ago now, right?
How soon are we looking at, will that be starting?
As soon as we get the land, that's basically it's holding up. The architect's got the drawing. The footprint that's on this little map in front of you is the exact footprint that would go supposedly south of the fire hall, with the GSA parking in the back, all the pavement, everything, and then there'd be an additional 100 feet of dirt around it, buffer around the whole thing. So everything would fit over there. I got the drawings in my office, and then The architects are ready to roll. The question is we need the land to put the site on. And then the next question after that we get the land squared away is now how much dirt work and all this infrastructure stuff is that? How much is that shit gonna cost? Excuse my language. Well, how much is that gonna cost? And then what all is that gonna take away from the actual building itself? You know what I mean?
Another thing to answer your question there, Eric, is we have the preliminary designs for the footprint. The architects will need to go back and finalize part of the design so it could go to bid. And I would recommend that we look at doing what they call it, a GMP, a general management contractor, that we go to bid.
CMF.
Thank you. I always get a G instead of a C, sorry. So, but I'd recommend we do that so we can move ahead and make certain that the project stays within the amount of dollars that we can have available for this particular project to keep it in line along with the cost
The
there.
one thing that I think we're kind of fortunate on this site here, if you guys want to put it there, is that, you know, we've spent quite a bit of money with Leo Daly already, you know, doing preliminary design on the site south of the fire station. But it's going to be almost identical to be able to take that site and put it over here. And there's some grades are going to change, but they can stay with the same geometrics and the same layout and everything. There's maybe a little bit more driveway out in front, but it saves us quite a bit of money architecturally too. We have a lot of money already. We put them on some other site where there's different terrain. You know, this is relatively flat here, you know, just like the fire station site down here. It's saved us money to do that. Going to be some additional expenses regarding utilities and the site, but it shouldn't be on the architectural piece of it.
The other thing I'd like to point out, on your map, you'll see that there's a slight red line that runs down across there. The Department of Transportation came back to us on our roundabout request for there and asked us to add some walking trail into that proposal. I did that and sent that back next week. Those dollars all come through the state of Nebraska, put that in. So that would support this project as well on how that would come together.
Okay, great. Cindy, did you want to say anything about what's been presented or anything you got to come up though. You want to come up?
There's a mic here, Cindy.
We don't want to miss out on an opportunity for this to happen, so we're supportive of the new location. And even as the community expands, there's a lot of people in that location, so it actually is going to be a good site for us.
Thank you, Cindy, for weighing in that. And I guess the fact that Cindy and Isaac have been at all these meetings and stepping step by step and step back. So if you guys are good, I think we
I
are.
make a motion to adopt resolution 134, 134 for the new site. Let's just move on with this. Let's get it built.
Thank you.
We have a motion by Lorelai and a second by, was that Kenny? Or
I
that-
did jokingly. I'm
Okay.
serious. I'm serious.
objection or discussion? Objection. Motion carried.
Where is that? Where
One,
on the map are you talking about?
yeah.
What was the motion?
To adopt resolution 23-134 approving the new EMS building site. We objected. I made the motion, Kenny seconded it.
It's right, please.
So, did you say you object, Louis?
I want to make sure I know what the hell I'm doing.
Okay.
Yeah. What's wrong with building it where the fire department is now?
We have an issue with getting title to one. Everybody wants to speak to that. Thank you.
I'll try to keep it short and snazzy. Yeah. So right now they're running into landowners that do not want to sell. Right now we're sitting only at 34% of ownership of the tribe. And in order to do, a partition, you need to meet that 51%. Right now we're not even close to being there. And I honestly don't think it would even happen within the time frame that Isaac and I want to get done. Fanny did get some timelines from BIA on, partitioning. And even if you did partition, that still wouldn't be enough acres for the building to be on. For sale would be the same time frame, but you still would have to meet that 51%. But it does take up to 12 to 18 months just to partition, and that only says if all the landowners, they have to actually agree to that, and if one says no, then that's off the table.
This new building, that'll come straight out onto the highway?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. Any further discussion?
The state said they're okay with.
That's the land that first caused the problem with Father Frank. Father Frank wanted to put a cemetery there. And when they did the testing, it was too wet. It wouldn't be a good site for a cemetery. And then they found the alluvial deposits, which would increase your footprint for the basement. This building here, we almost had to move it. The architects increased the footprint. We had to put a hell of a lot more concrete into this site than we planned. And we had to take the swimming pool out and reduce the size of the building so we could operate under our funding. So it may cost a lot of money to get that site prepared. I'd like to know what that is.
Might end up with just a little one shed Morton building over there, and everything else is in preparation of the ground. Have to park half an ambulance and half a fire truck over there.
It's an army tent.
Put them in tents.
Ron, did you want to talk about that additional dirt work cost?
I totally agree with what Louis is saying. Yeah, the first thing that we're gonna do.
You want to come up? Because then everybody on the phone probably wants to hear you too.
Louis, right. I guess I agree with what Louis is saying. That is that we need to be careful that we don't waste a bunch of money on that site, and the soils are not. That it's not economical to build on that site. We know up front that there's going to be, some additional costs, but the first thing we're going to do is have our geotech engineers go out there and do the borings before we spend any other money on that site. So, it's up to you guys if you want to approve the site or if you want to approve the geotechnical part of it, because if the geotechnical part of it doesn't pencil out, we're going to be back again looking for a different site.
We got a motion on the table, and I think we just need to move full steam ahead with what you guys gathered to this point, and knowing that
If it doesn't work, we'll be back.
yeah. So Louis, did you want to still object to that motion?
I want to what?
Do you want to object? Did you object earlier? I thought
Yes.
Okay. So we got one objection. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye or signify by raising your hand. Lorelei, Kenny, Foley, Isaac, Eric, opposed? Louis, no abstentions. Motion carried 5-1-0. So thank you everybody for moving us along and kind of asking all the questions that are going to get us this building.
Who seconded that?
I don't think it's moving us
Kenny
along.
Mallard. I know it's gonna be good for our people.
Comment. But, as I guess I just want to express how I feel. I don't know why we just build up on that hill, where the nursing home is going to be. We're in a volunteer area. So I don't think we'd ever really gonna save a home from burning. We're always gonna be a distance away from the farthest house, you know, and it could be easier, you know, that way to do that there. We have a nice building, you know, the area's kind of already been worked. And I don't remember, is there a plan to utilize the building, the existing one, fire hall, to keep units there or whatever?
There hasn't been anything, there hasn't been any kind of plan of if we move out of there or if we ever get to move into a new building. There hasn't been no plans of that. But I know that that isn't really a big thing because we could if and it's all up to the tribe owns the buildings and would own both buildings. So basically be coming around as the fire department coming around crying around and saying, hey, can we leave a truck down there and leave a truck over here? And if, you know, people can respond to both of them, you know, that's something. There also was talk of saying, hey, we're in need of a jail or you know, let's create a sally port and 2 holding cells for 8 hour sleepover. They got bathrooms in a existing PD already. There's a correction facility there. They can order food from the hospital. And then these people that are just John Eek around town, then they could hold them for 8 hours, sober them up, cut them loose in the morning, you know, with whatever kind of fine or whatever. That's all kind of, that was just thrown out there, but, you know, but otherwise there hasn't been no plans for the old fire hall section side of it, which is a 50 by 75.
My thing is, if, once you get this new emergency service building way and getting the PD done in the old fire department, would you be able to add that square footage onto the PD price tag that the rental?
You could add anything because they don't pay nothing anyway.
I will say that I did have a conversation with Jason as we were talking about this quite some time ago, and he did feel, as what Isaac was describing, that the fire station area would work well as a holding area, that they could have at least 2 cells there. And because of the height of the ceiling, that there would be sufficient space to allow a loft area in order to provide the necessary supervision to expand that, to offer that and expand the services of our PD. I think it would be worth exploring with the BIA as to how we could pick that up and cover that for additional square footage costs and have that in our 638 contract, or as we've been discussing, moving towards a self-governance, how that could be included as a part of that as well. That would, either way, being able to hold people there would be a substantial savings to the transportation costs that we incur. We haven't done a formal analysis on that, but very likely to be.
Sounds good. Okay, so we got moving forward on that. See what's next. So our next item is to go into executive session to talk about insurance approval, and but if the council's ready to approve and doesn't need discussion, we don't need to go into executive session. But last week
Executive session, make
Okay.
that motion.
we have a motion to go into executive session at 10:19 a.m. We'll also be inviting Nick Flores and Erica Dunn and Jasmine Lammers into that. I guess all those people need to go into executive session. Any further wait, we got a motion by Eric. Do we have a second? Second by Isaac. Discussion, objection, motion carried 6-0. Esther should probably be in here too. 6-0-0. We're in executive session. Hey Nick, thanks for joining us. Thank you to our finance
The motion is to approve the Mahoney Group.
Recording in progress.
What's the title of it? Is it the tribe self-insurance plan, or what do you call, what's it called? Oh, he's muted. Got you muted.
Sorry, this is the tribe's property and casualty insurance.
Property and casualty. So the motion to approve the property and casualty insurance renewal with Mahoney Group. We have a motion by Eric and a second by Kenny. Any further discussion? Casualty. Objection to the motion. Motion carried 6-0-0. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
You're with us again, Mahoney Group.
We have a motion by Eric. Do we have a
You
second?
didn't shake us.
Well, appreciate it. We appreciate you all. Thanks for letting us join this morning.
Do we have a second to
I have a
Eric?
question.
I just had one comment.
We don't have a second to yet. Anybody have a second to adjourn?
He's second.
Oh, second. Sorry about that, Lou. Oh, Orla.
I just had one comment. I was wondering about, I don't know if we have to wait for the whole treasurer's report, but we had the treasurer look into, the unpaid, workman's comp by Winnebago Gaming Development. They were supposed to have a meeting, and has that been resolved? It was 83,000 not paid in since 2018, 17 or 18 from the Winnebago Gaming Development Corporation. They were gonna have a meeting to look at receipts. And I haven't heard back if that was resolved.
I didn't hear anything back either about that.
The staff were meeting with Tootie from who does revenue. He keeps the revenue that comes in. And Winnebago Gaming was supposed to bring receipts if they think they paid. And they were meeting, and then we haven't heard the result of that. So it's the regular, and it's just something that is still out there. We haven't gotten a report back.
Circle back with Rona then to see if she shepherded that discussion. I mean, it was the motion. Yeah, it was a motion from the table. So
Okay.
Second by Louis. Any further discussion?
One. That little gadget they gave me. I don't know how to plug it in. Doesn't seem useless to me.
What is it? A cell phone? What kind of gadget?
It was a charger. They gave us each one.
Oh, Nick, what's up with that?
Sorry, crap. Sorry, Louis. I'll get you another one. There should be a port on the side you plug it in.
All right, cool.
It's in. Give it to the grandkids. And they'll figure it out.
Yep.
It's in there underneath.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry about that, Louis.
I'll show you what,
All right. Any further discussion? Motion carried 6-0-0. We're adjourned at 10:30 a.m.
in that box.
Yep, we're adjourned.
Underneath.
So
there,
thank you everybody for
there's a
joining us.
cord in
Have a
it.
nice day, everybody.